very welcome. It's episode 3 of Stephen Mack's Classic Movie Podcast, and you can find this podcast on iTunes and also find it as well on www.onemusic.pro. Frankie Beats and the gang there. Some wonderful, wonderful music there. So make sure you check out the website and also the app. But make sure to also subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or any of the other podcast sites. Before I go any further, it would be remiss of me not to give a mention to the wonderful character actor Harry Dean Stanton, who passed away this weekend. A wonderful actor appearing in over 100 films and 50 TV episodes. He was from originally West Irvine, Kentucky. He starred in movies like The Green Mile, where he played Toot Toot in 1999. He starred as Brett in Alien in 1979. But I think his most iconic role still to this day would be as Travis Henderson, the loner, in the wonderful 1984 Paris, Texas. He was also in Twin Peaks as Carl Rudd, if you remember, in the second season of that. But a wonderful actor, and just something about his weather-beaten face, his unbelievable acting talent, and his kind of Kentucky drawl sometimes that he used in his movies, and he'll be sadly missed. So there you go, Harry Dean Stanton, 1926 to 2017. Now, we're going to move on to our third classic movie. And we're going to go to 1998. And the reason I'm picking this movie at the minute is because of the current racial tensions that are happening over in the United States of America. The movie I'm taking a look at tonight is American History X, starring Edward Norton, Edward Furlong, Beverly D'Angelo, amongst others. Directed by Tony Kidd, written by David McKenna. And the plot line is very, very simply a former neo-Nazi. He's a skinhead, and he suddenly realises the errors of his ways, and he tries to prevent his younger brother, played by Edward Furlong, who plays Danny Vineyard, going along the same path. It's shot in two distinct styles. The first style being the black and white flashback, to where we see how he became enamoured with the white supremacist movement, how he got taken under the wing by this charismatic white supremacist leader, Cameron Alexander, played by the wonderful Stacy Keach. And we see as he goes to prison, he undergoes a transformation. There's some very, very brutal prison scenes in there as well. But he undergoes a transformation where he realises that everything that he's believed up to this point has been a lie. It's been the wrong path that he's been going down. And he realises that he must stop his brother, who has completely put him up on a pedestal. And it's a wonderful, wonderful portrayal, by the way, by Edward Furlong, fresh from his Terminator days. And this was probably the only other really feature that he had of note. You've also got a supporting cast, as we mentioned, with the wonderful Beverly D'Angelo. We've also got Ethan Suplee, who plays Seth Ryan. Fairuza Balk, I love her. She's an absolutely brilliant actress. She plays Derek's girlfriend, Stacey. And as we mentioned also, we've got Elliot Gould, who plays Murray, and Guy Torry, who plays Lamont. Now, the whole thing about this movie is it takes a look at, it's not in the sense that it glorifies violence in any way, but what it does is it takes a long, hard look at racial division and how someone like Derek Vineyard, when he's young, through the death of his father, is manipulated and essentially brainwashed into believing some of the rhetoric that the white supremacists actually bring out. And it isn't until he goes into prison and he realises that, you know, after speaking to one particular inmate who he strikes up an unlikely friendship with, he realises that this whole racism thing isn't there's nothing there. Do you know what I mean? That everyone's the same, and he can't understand how this inmate of his, who happens to be an African American, has got such a hefty sentence for such a small crime. And that is the start of the transformation. The problem with it, though, is that the other white supremacists in the group, who obviously when he goes into prison would offer him protection and offer him, full protection against any of the other groups like the Hispanics or anything else out there. They offer him protection. They don't take too kindly to him basically saying, this is all crap, I'm not interested in this anymore. And we are introduced to a wonderful character as well, played by Avery Brooks, called Dr. Bob Sweeney, who is both Derek's teacher and Danny's teacher. And in this particular powerful scene, Derek is after being sexually assaulted in the showers by the group of neo-Nazis who haven't taken too kindly to him, shunning them. And Dr. Sweeney realises that Derek has suddenly come to his senses and he needs to find his own way out of this hell.
Right now, your anger is consuming you. Your anger is shutting down the brain God gave you.
God, you know, man, you've been talking about what's going on in me since I was in high school. How do you know so much about what's going on inside me?
No, I know about me. I know about this place. I know about the place you are in.
What do you know about the place I'm in?
There was a moment when I used to blame everything and everyone for all the pain and suffering and vile things that happened to me, that I saw happen to my people. I used to blame everybody, blame white people, blame society, blame God. I didn't get no answers because I was asking the wrong questions. You have to ask the right question.
Like what?
Has anything you've done made your life better?
Just help me. Get me out of here, you know? I'm up in 4 months for review. Put in a word for me.
Already have. So you're out there then what?
I don't want to fuck up my family anymore. I'll go as far away as I can get.
That's not good enough. You want my help, you gotta do better than that. My help is not unconditional. But running just ain't good enough.
There you go. That's Avery Brooks playing Dr. Bob Sweeney and Edward Norton playing Derek Vinyard there. And that's the scene. That's kind of the pivotal moment in the movie where we realise Derek needs to get out. He needs to change his life, but he needs to get home and speak to his younger brother, Danny, who is well entrenched within the white supremacist movement. And we see Danny's story pick up essentially at the start, where he has put in a paper into his teacher, who is played by Elliot Gould, who is his teacher, Mr. Murray, who is obviously Jewish. He puts in a paper about Mein Kampf. And at this point, then, that's the catalyst for Avery Brooks' character, Dr. Sweeney, to take over Derek's or Danny rather's education and try and steer Danny out of this very dark road that he's going along. And it's at this point Derek comes home, he meets Danny, and he realises he needs to get Danny away from the clutches of the very charismatic Cameron Alexander. And that's when the movie really moves up into fifth gear. It's a very powerful movie. The flashback scenes in black and white are absolutely wonderful, as is the kind of final confrontation that Derek has with Cameron Alexander, who Derek was once Alexander's protege. He was going to, be his knight in shining armour, pardon the expression. But it's the confrontation between the two of them which is fully racially charged. And at that point, Cameron Alexander knows that Derek is no longer going to be his standard bearer for the white supremacist movement. And this is where things get very, very dangerous for Derek and Danny.
I'm out.
I understand how you feel. I mean, you've just done some hard time.
Don't you f***ing talk to me about hard time. You don't know a thing about it.
Hey, I've done mine.
You didn't do shit. I found out about your little prison story. You did 2 months, and then you rolled over on 2 kids and let them go down for you. So don't feed me your f***ing lies, Cameron.
All right. This is stupid. I'm done. Now, you go cool off. Get laid. Do something. Get your head on straight, then I'll talk to you.
Yeah, but it doesn't even really matter if I don't, does it? Because you got the next crop all lined up and ready to go, you f***ing chicken hawk.
Excuse me?
You prey on people, Cam. You use them. I lost 3 years of my life for your phony cause, but I am on to you now, you...
Derek, watch it. Be careful. Remember where you are.
I came in here to tell you one thing. I am out. Out! And Danny is out, too. And if you come near my family again, I'm gonna f***ing kill you.
You can't come barking threats at me. Look, you can do whatever you want, but Danny is a good kid. He needs my help, and I'm gonna give it to him.
If you come near Danny again, I will feed you your f***ing heart, Cameron.
I won't have to. He'll come to me.
Wonderful scene there from Stacey Keach and Edward Norton in American History X. And that's it. I'm not going to spoil the ending. It's quite a sucker punch of an ending as well. The movie itself was beset by problems, especially by Edward Norton, who wanted an awful lot of input into the movie at the time. But we're not going to go into that. We're going to go look at the movie itself and its continuing relevance in today's world. And that's the most important thing that we need to look at, the relevance that this movie has. It's a stunning movie, brilliantly acted, wonderful supporting cast as well. Without a shadow of a doubt, Edward Furlong's character, Danny Vinyard, is played unbelievably well, very close to the bone, as is Edward Norton's character, the older brother, Derek. But as we mentioned, you've got the wonderful Beverly D'Angelo as well, Fairuza Balk, Avery Brooks, Elliot Gould, Stacey Keach. It's such a wonderful wealth of acting, and not forgetting, of course, an honorary mention to Guy Torry, who plays Lamont, who is the guy that Derek strikes up the friendship with whilst in prison. But that's our classic movie, number 3 for you this week in our podcast, American History X. Do watch it. Wonderful movie, very well acted, and definitely relevant in today's world. Next week, will we do it? Do you know what? We're not going to do it next week, but I will do it very soon. I will be going back to the original It, but I have seen the new It. Very impressed with it. Very, very impressed. And I have to say that the reimagining of Pennywise the Dancing Clown is a wonderful reimagining, but it's still not Tim Curry, who just terrorised me as a child the very first time I saw it, but still worth a go. So if you happen to be heading off, do enjoy the reimagining of it, but make sure to check out the original, and we will be covering it, I absolutely promise. Next week we're going to be taking a look at one of the top 3 gangster movies of all time. We are, of course, talking about Goodfellas next week. It's a wonderful movie, and hopefully everyone who's listening to this podcast has actually seen it. But if you haven't, hopefully we'll give you the impetus to go out and take a look at it. But for the time being, if you get an opportunity this week, check out American History X, directed by Tony Kaye, Edward Norton, Edward Furlong, Beverly D'Angelo, and many others from 1998. A wonderfully relevant movie, very well acted, and very, very powerful at the same time. For me, Stephen McDermott, thank you very much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast, and not forgetting as well the guys on the website as well, Frankie Beats and the gang will look after you with some wonderful tunes on onemusic.pro, and they'll also have my podcast there, and you can also find it on iTunes, but make sure to subscribe. So for me, Stephen McDermott, enjoy your movie week, and we will talk to you next week, where we'll be taking a look at Goodfellas.